All right, guys, Justin with AmericanMuscle.com, Paul from Bama Performance. We're here for stage 3 of the Bama Terminator, the one these guys have been waiting for. Now, I know you guys are anxious to see what's under the hood, but first, Paul, why don't you tell these guys how far we got with the stock Eaton blower?
With some upgraded exhaust, changing the pulleys and a cold air intake, we made about 460 to 470 wheel horsepower and a best of 11.4 at 121 mile an hour on a drag radial. So
not bad.
Pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. But now it's the moment of truth, guys. We're going to get under the hood, show you guys what you've been waiting for. So, Paul, let's do it, man. All right, guys, the wait is over. Here it is. The moment of truth. We went with the Procharger F1A race kit. Now, Paul, tell these guys at home why we went this direction.
Now, like I said before, I'm a big believer in doing things different, and everybody puts a twin screw on this thing. So we want to rip it out, put a centrifugal, and make some big RPM, big power.
Now, this thing's pretty burly, right? I mean, it's capable of some serious numbers. About how much?
It is. 30 plus pounds of boost, 1,000 plus horsepower. Maybe a little bit more than where we're at right now, but we've got big plans for the future.
Well, let's talk about right now. As far as boost levels are concerned, what are we looking at right now?
We're hoping around 15 pounds of boost, maybe in the neighborhood of 7 to 750 wheel horsepower, just to start things off.
Just enough to start things off. You notice how I said start, right? Because I'm sure this thing isn't going to stay at 15 pounds for long.
No, we want to turn this thing up to 20 to 25 pounds of boost and really go in for the kill.
That should be fun. Now tell these guys at home what the benefits are of switching to a centrifugal blower as opposed to sticking with a roots or a twin screw.
Now, like I stated earlier, it continues to make boost with RPMs and it's going to continue to climb. And it also offers much cooler intake air temperature, so the car is going to be nice and consistent even on those hot summer days.
And it should be a little easier on the drivetrain, correct? I mean, it's not going to be hard on those shock launches like that where it's really putting the stuff through its paces.
That's correct. We can still launch this thing hard out of the hole, but it's not going to make 800 foot-pounds of torque right out of the hole. So it's going to be a little bit forgiving on our independent rear suspension that we're also worried about.
As far as our fueling is concerned, we had to really pump things up there. Tell us a little bit more about what we did.
We did. To be able to have adequate fuel supply, we went with a return-style fuel system, with an adjustable fuel pressure regulator, injector dynamics ID1000s, and pumps in the tank to make sure we have enough fuel supply no matter how much power we want to make.
Nice, and we're moving away from pump gas, right? We're actually getting a little crazy with this?
We are. We wanted to make as much power as we could. We wanted to have that reliability at the track. The motors were designed for an unleaded fuel, so we went with the VP Motorsport 109. It's an oxygenated, unleaded race fuel.
Very cool. Well, there you have it, guys. That about does it for the power adder in our fuel system. We are going to get underneath the car now, show you some suspension stuff that we did, and also some work we did to keep that IRS together. All right, Paul, well, an area we really haven't talked much about with this car yet is the suspension, and obviously it's a vital part of the car when trying to get down to 1320 quickly, and it looks like we have some new parts under here to help us do that.
That's right, we're running AFCO's double adjustable big gun shocks, as well as their tubular K-member and tubular control arm.
Now talk about that double adjustability. Very important, right, when trying to build a drag-only car in terms of fine-tuning everything, right?
That's correct. Being double adjustable, that gives us the option to adjust the compression and the rebound of the strut independently of each other.
Very cool. And the new part up front here, the AFCO K-member, not a whole lot of people are running this.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's a fairly new part from AFCO. It's really nice, really high quality.
Yeah, it looks great under here. Should definitely take some of the weight off the front of the car, right? It's just great in helping this thing launch. Now, speaking of launching, whatever we did up front, we have to kind of mimic in the rear, right? So, and I know our options are limited back there with suspension, so what do we end up doing?
We ended up going with QA1's double adjustable shocks in the rear. As you mentioned, rear coilovers, specific to drag guys. There's not a ton available right now for the IRS.
For the Cobra, right? Okay, very cool. And as far as our springs all around, what are we doing there?
In the front, we're running the AFCO 14-inch, 175-pound coilover spring. And the rear, we're running the H&R Super Sports in the rear. Okay, so again, with anything with a drag car, I mean, it's probably going to be some fine tuning, some adjustments to be made. We'll get it down to the track, see how it launches, and probably go from there, right? That's right.
Paul, a hot topic, of course, is sticking with the IRS here on our dedicated drag car, something a lot of people didn't necessarily agree with, but we made it a lot stronger thanks to the full tilt boogie kit. We have the diff cover brace, along with our end links, and of course the bushing kit, which is very important. Tell these guys at home why.
That's right. The car comes from the factory with a rubber bushing that has a lot of deflection. That's why you always see a lot of that wheel hop. By getting rid of the rubber and going with a solid Delrin bushing, you're going to avoid all that wheel hop and hopefully avoid breaking an axle.
That's right. Wheel hop is the enemy. So we're going to avoid that. But even still, we do have stronger half shafts in the car now. We upgraded to the Drive Shaft Shop's level 5 half shafts, which are now in the car. And keeping going with the strengthening up of our drive line, we also upgraded our input shaft to the 26 spline. Yep. And because of that, we had to upgrade our clutch also to the McLeod twin disc. So this thing should be ready to boogie, man. On the Mickey T's, we got to do some hard launches and be one of those, right?
Keep our fingers crossed.
Paul, the car certainly sounded angry, man. 733, 561, just about what you were expecting.
Yeah, it's crazy power for about 15.5 pounds of boost.
Comes on strong, what, 4,500 RPM, like a freight train, I guess, right?
Yeah, at that point, the car just wheels and pulls so hard all the way right to red line.
Very nice. Now, you were talking to me a little bit just earlier about you're thinking the map's close to being pegged here, right?
Yeah, right around 6,800 RPMs, what happens is the PCM can no longer register how much air is going into the motor, thus it can't put in the necessary fuel, and it runs lean.
So how do we remedy that moving forward then?
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and increase the size of the piping where the mass air is all the way up to the throttle body.
Cool, man. Now, this is all trial and error stuff, right? With this Procharger. I mean, Procharger gives us the kit. We pretty much have to do the rest as far as the piping is concerned, and we thought we had the right size dialed in, but guess not.
That's correct. All we can do is sort of estimate how much airflow we're going to go based on the horsepower we're going to make. And like you saw, it's trial and error, and we'll get it fixed.
Well, let's get down to business, man. What are we thinking this thing's going to do when we get down to the track?
With the power the car is making, it's all going to be in the launch, especially with the 373 gear in the car.
All right, we're getting ready to shake down the Bama Terminator for the first time after its new power. Let's see how it does. I don't know, the clearance is a little tight with the slick and the rear bumper, so we don't know if it dug in a little bit. I guess we'll just have to wait and see with that, but yeah. It's definitely...
The car hauls the mail halfway down the track. Yeah. It just turns on and...
Once boost comes in, right, with that blower, I mean, it comes in hard, and
it's got a lot more left, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, just shaking it down.
All right, that's better.
11:01:29. There you go. Well, we're still working out some of the kinks. But that's to be expected, right, fellas?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, still getting the launch down. It's starting to come out of the hole slightly better, but not great.
Paul, I think we need a little bit more gear, right, buddy?
Yeah, maybe like a 410 or 430 to help with the bog out of the hole with that supercharger. But huge improvements. The day's not done. Let's see what's left in her.
All right, boys, so 1070 at 130, not a bad first time out, right?
Not bad at all. We knew we were gonna have to come here, shake the car down a little bit, learn what was going on with it, and we did exactly that. I think we're gonna take it back to the shop, put a 410 or a 430 gear in this thing so we can get it out of the hole and into the power band.
That's right. Yeah, if we went 990s the first time out, we'd have no more videos for you guys, and we know you don't want that. We're gonna bring you more with more boost and probably more gear like Paul said. But in the meantime, subscribe if you wanna see more from this machine here. You're not gonna wanna miss the next step for sure. And for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.